Hello and welcome to another Liverpool Transfer Talk Show on Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzy and I'm your host for today's show. 2 more days remaining in the transfer window. Can Liverpool do some more business? We'll discuss a couple players who are very likely set to join the club, and we'll also discuss some rumours that are currently circulating the waves. So we'll begin with some official news, and that is Mamardashvili. So it's official. Liverpool have signed Georgian goalkeeper Mamardashvili from Valencia for a fee of £30 million. As we are all aware, this is not a signing for now, as Mamardashvili will be going out on loan to Valencia for one more season before joining Liverpool next season. So my thoughts on the deal: I think it's a fantastic signing from the club. 30 million for a goalkeeper of his potential is very smart business. He's an amazing shot stopper and he showcased his talents in the Euros not so long ago. But what does this mean to the future of Alisson Becker? Is he expected to leave the club this year or next year? Personally, I don't think the move affects Alisson in the long run. In my opinion, I think Kelleher will be the goalkeeper that departs next season in order to accommodate the signing of Mamardashvili, as it's no secret that Kelleher wants to move on and become a number one keeper at another club. And to be fair, rightly so. This is the way to transition a young player into becoming a first team player at Liverpool Football Club. Embed him in the squad and surround him with the player that he will possibly uh, be departing in the club. So in this case, it would be Alisson. There's no concrete news to suggest that he will leave the club, but he said himself he won't be here forever. So having a goalkeeper like Alisson in the squad is a fantastic way for a young goalkeeper like Mamardashvili to be a sponge and learn the trade from a world-class goalkeeper. So for me, well done to Richard Hughes on getting this deal done. I've said some things about him in the past few weeks, and I don't think I was wrong, as there was no indication to suggest that the club will be doing any level of business right now. So for now, he's off my forward watch. But let's see what else happens in the transfer window. Now, this move excites me a lot, guys, and I can't lie, it's the one that looks like it could be happening. Federico Chiesa flew into the UK earlier today to undergo his medical. Before he took his flight, he spoke very highly about joining Liverpool. As he spoke to Sky Sports Italy, said that he's really happy and ready for his new adventure. He wants to thank the Juventus fans, thank them for all of their affection over the years, and he'll keep them in his heart. And he ended by saying, "I'm really, really happy. We can't wait, me and my family." So a player that genuinely wants to join our beloved club, that's music to my ears. It was also revealed that the deal is worth £10 million plus 2.5 in add-ons, totaling 12 million, which is an absolute ridiculous fee. And it's quite amazing that we're on the verge of completing this deal. In terms of value and quality of the player, you have to say this is probably the best business in the window. I'm really excited about this signing. He's at exactly the profile that I wanted to add in our squad. But I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't think he was a realistic target a couple of months ago, because when it was announced that he wants to leave Juventus, the fees flying around was 60 million euros. That's not the kind of fee that I think the club were hoping to attain to add an attacker into our squad. So credit where credit is due. Well done to Richard Hughes again for getting this deal done. This is fantastic business from the club. Now, there's some sections of the fan base that aren't too pleased about this deal, which confuses me slightly. Some will say we don't need an attacker. In my opinion, we do. It probably wasn't a priority signing, as you'd argue to say that a defensive midfielder and a centre-back are more important positions that need to be addressed, and I completely agree. But it's not every day that you have the opportunity to sign a player of Chiesa's quality, and for as little as 10 million, that's a mind-blowing fee right there. So you can also say that you can't always please all fans, unfortunately. And look, I do understand the frustrations from some sections to suggest that this wasn't the signing we needed, and we might, be left short if we, for example, pick up injuries during the season. But for me, you still have to enjoy these signings as well. No need to be a downer just because we haven't addressed other areas in the squad. If it doesn't happen now, I generally feel like the club will try to sign a defensive midfielder and centre back in the January window. Now, another big talking point about the player is his injury record, and people have labelled him as an injury-prone player, and that's Liverpool fans as well as rival fans just to justify that, it's not that much of a big deal, but it is because everyone's talking about it. And for me, that is far from the truth. Last season, he made 33 appearances in the league and actually played more minutes than Szoboszlai, Darwin Nunez, Joe Gomez, Wataru Endo, Andy Robertson, Cody Gakpo, Konate, Elliott, Jones, Jota, Gravenberch, and Simakan, just to name a few. And I think that should paint the picture that, he's not an injury-prone player. Also, in terms of his stats, last season in the league, he played 33 times, as I mentioned, scored 9 goals, 3 assists, but in all competition, 37 appearances, 10 goals, 3 assists to his name. The interesting thing about his position for Juventus is that he played as a second striker. 31 times, played left wing 5 times, and only played once at right wing. But obviously, with a different coach in Allegri, he has a bit more of a defensive approach. So, tactics have to be put into consideration. But in terms of his track record, we all know what type of player he is and what sort of positions he's played over the years. So, just to paint a picture in terms of positionally, left wing in his whole career, he's played 61 times. Right wing, he's played 93 times. So that's the reason why I said that he's a good signing, as he will cover Mohamed Salah for that right wing position. He's played as a second striker 69 times and up top 17. So from an attacking point of view, he's played predominantly right wing throughout his career. So that's the key thing there for me in terms of why he's been brought into the club. And also in an Arne Slot's team, I feel like he can play different roles. He can play as a right winger, left winger. He can play up top. Can even play as a second striker like he has in his team. So he's a multifunctional player. He will get plenty of game time, and he will be rotated throughout the season, which for me pleases me, as I feel like we can't rest certain players, i.e. a Mohamed Salah, and that could definitely hamper his performances in the long run. So when you've got 6 attackers to choose from, you can switch and turn and literally field a strong lineup week in, week out, despite the rotation. So that's why teams like Barcelona over the years, Real Madrid over the years, and in recent times, Man City have been so successful because they have strength in depth in the front line. To be fair, we've had a decent front line last year with 5 good attackers. We've added 1 more, and it's 6 top quality attackers. So, in my opinion, plenty of quality. And I believe we have the best front line in the league, hands down. So, for me, he ticks all of the boxes, and I'm excited to see him in a Liverpool shirt. Whether he plays this weekend remains to be seen in terms of how soon the deal can get concluded. But there is a possibility that he could get registered, and we don't expect him to start, but he could be on the bench against Manchester United this Sunday. So, look, I know we haven't addressed the centre back and defensive midfield role as of yet. We've still got about 48 hours, but we still have to be pleased about this signing. But drop a comment and let me know what you guys think. Are you pleased? Are you, not overly fussed about the signing? Love to hear your thoughts. So, with this new imminent transfer happening, it could mean one of our youngsters is being sent out on loan, and that player could be Ben Doak. Now, I actually don't think this is a bad idea. If you watched one of my Liverpool transfer talk shows about 2-3 weeks ago, I mentioned that I didn't understand why Liverpool were willing to either sell him or send him out on loan unless we got another attacker. And behold, it makes sense now because we have just signed Chiesa. And for me, this loan move will provide him with valuable first team experience, and he'll be playing men's football. It's not youth football, it's not reserve football, it's real men's football. So I think this will be the perfect time for his development to make that move. Now, the club that he could join is Celtic, who have shown interest in him recently, and I think that would be a good fit for him. He'll be back in Scotland and playing at his former club under a former manager in Brendan Rodgers. They're also in the Champions League, so I think it would make sense for him to go on loan there and play some first team football. And I also believe that with that loan spell, he'll return a better player. And who knows what the future holds? He might still have a Liverpool career ahead of him. So let's see what happens with Ben Doak in the next couple of days. Now, this name, Piero Hincapie, is still being linked with a move to the club. But if I'm being honest, I just feel like we've run out of time to even negotiate a deal. However, let me just put it out there. If there's any hope or slim hope for this deal to happen, it might be because there has been some dialogue between the club as Bayer Leverkusen are interested in signing one of our players, and that is Tyler Morton. The current rumor is that they are discussing a potential loan move for the midfielder. Personally, I don't see the point. I would like to see Tyler Morton stay at the club and be one of our players available in our midfield. We don't have a lot of players in the squad to play that sort of defensive midfield role in the double pivot. So if we sell him out or send him out on loan, I believe we weaken our squad and reduced the squad depth. So for me, in terms of the Hincapie deal, I don't see that happening. But I'm also hoping the Tyler Morton deal doesn't happen. He remains at the club, as I think he's ready to step up and play Premier League football now. But there's also a player who's being linked with a loan move away from the club, and that is Stefan Bajcetic. Now, this may not go down too well among some fans, but I would rather loan out Bajcetic and keep Tyler Morton for one more season. Does that mean I rate Morton more than Bajcetic? Not necessarily, but right now, I believe Morton is ready to make that jump up to Premier League football. Bajcetic has been injured for most of last season, so he's not quite ready to make an impact in the team or in the short term. So I think a loan move would be great for his development, and it will allow him to help discover his form again, and maybe he'll be able to play the way he did 18 months ago. And I'm sure a lot of us Liverpool fans were excited with what was presented in front of us. It looked like he was set to move to Red Bull Salzburg and join former coach Pep Linders, which makes a lot of sense to me. A coach who knows him very well and will definitely get the best out of him. And they've also just qualified for Champions League football. So he'll be playing at the highest level in European competition. But today, news broke that Barcelona have shown interest in the midfielder and they want to sign him on loan. So do I have a preference in where he goes? Not really. A move to Barcelona would be fantastic, of course. But the big question is he going to get game time there? I'm not too sure, as I feel like they have a lot of midfielders in their squad, and I feel like he will find it very difficult to take anyone's place within the team. So if he's not going to get any game time, he needs to move to Red Bull Salzburg, where I believe he will be a starter there, and he can certainly hit the ground running there. If I was the player, I would personally choose Red Bull Salzburg, but the bright lights of Barcelona might be too much to turn down. So let's see what happens. I'm sure we'll hear some news in the coming hours, or hopefully in the coming days as well. Now, this rumor is still circulating, but from what I've heard, there's some suggestions that are saying that, or some sources that are saying that we could trigger the release clause of this player. I believe his release clause is around £71 million. Now, if that was to happen, you are definitely expecting a riot in Liverpool. Now, Everton can't block the move technically because he has a release clause. So if we trigger it, we have the legal right to discuss personal terms and get the player signed to our club. But let's be honest, I doubt this move would happen. It would be amazing, don't get me wrong. It would definitely annoy our noisy neighbours, but I don't think it's realistic though. It's a pipeline dream. I don't see us spending 70 million up front for a defender, but you never know. If it happens, expect a live stream right away on Football Talk Podcast. Now, there was some suggestion this player was high on Liverpool's list of signings, but it looks like Simakan could be heading to the Saudi Pro League as Al Nassr have shown interest in signing the player. However, some recent developments in the last few hours are suggesting that Newcastle are interested in signing the French defender after making an inquiry, and I believe they would be willing to pay £42 million to seal the deal. So it looks like Newcastle have walked away from the Gay deal, which could also mean that Gay remains at Crystal Palace. And that would also mean that Palace will probably cool off their interest in signing Liverpool's Joe Gomez. So a bit of a merry-go-round there. So to put it in point blank, if Newcastle signs Simakan, it will be very likely that Joe Gomez remains as a Liverpool player. And me personally, I don't mind it. Now, I don't know why this rumor keeps popping up, but they're suggesting that Liverpool are really interested in signing Georgian winger Kvaratskhelia. Now, let's get to the point. The rumor is a non-starter for me, as he would cost in the region of £100 million, as I believe that is his release clause. Could it be an option for next summer and join his Georgian compatriot in Mamardashvili? Slim hopes. But for me, this rumor is a non-starter. It's not realistic. So media outlets, please stop reporting this rumor every few days because it's getting a bit annoying now. Kingsley Coman, the Bayern Munich winger, has been linked with a move to the Premier League with interest from Liverpool, Arsenal, and Spurs. However, it looks like he could be heading to the Saudi Pro League, which I think at this stage of his career, it makes sense. So in terms of his story linking us to Liverpool, no, I don't think there's any genuine interest from us, especially if we're signing Chiesa. Maybe Coleman was regarded as a alternative if Chiesa move didn't happen, but my inkling is that I believe he will probably be heading to the Middle East and he'll be playing his trade in the Saudi Pro League. Now, this rumor broke yesterday, and it's still circulating or doing the rounds to an extent, as Arsenal have reportedly shown interest in signing our striker Darwin Nunez. Even if it's genuine interest, for me, it's too little too late for this move to be concluded in this window. The question is, would I sell him to a rival? Honestly, no. If Arsenal want him, they will need to pay a premium price, more than what Liverpool paid 3 years ago. So if they're willing to do that, then we can talk business. But as it stands, Liverpool shouldn't be looking to sell any of their attackers. And for me, we need to concentrate in the squad that we have and look towards the season. Darwin Nunez's future will be addressed next summer, in my opinion, as I don't think he fits into Arne Slot's way of playing, and I can see him leaving next year if the season doesn't go to plan. But hey, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts. Would you sell Darwin Nunez? I would personally. I was quite frustrated with him last year, and I just feel like he's hit his ceiling. I don't believe he will improve as a player, especially when it comes from sort of clinical finishing point of view. I still feel like he doesn't have that calmness or that composure in front of goal, and I feel like to be an elite striker, that's what separates you from the best, or from the rest, I should say. That's what makes you the best. So, no, I think the time is up for Darwin Nunez. I feel like this season will be a season for him where he's a bit more of an impactful player from the bench rather than a starter. So, expect him to come off the bench, cause a bit of chaos. But this time next year, I'm expecting him to depart. But hey, we'll talk in due time, I guess. But that is all the rumors that I have to discuss for today. Just going to go through some of the comments. Jay Kismet says, best bro, you never walk alone. Big up, Jay Kismet. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for tuning in. Brush, big up Brush as always. He says, hit the like, folks. Can't speak English today. Thank you, Brush. Appreciate your support as always. And for Uncle Roz, big up, bro. Big up, Uncle and for Roz. Appreciate your support as always. And Jay Kismet says, that's the thing. Rather keep him where he will get game time. So, I mean, we've all got opinions about certain players in our squad. Right now, what I'll do, I think, before we conclude the show, actually, we could review the current squad as it stands, because my personal opinion, I don't think we will sign any more players. I think Chiesa will be the last signing, and unless something happens where Joel Gomez is sold, then a defender will come in. I think the defensive midfielder will not be addressed in this window. It was supposed to be Zubimendi, and like I said in previous shows, it was supposed to be Zubimendi or nothing. And some fans didn't agree to that. I genuinely think that was the guy that they really, put all the eggs in one basket for. So for me, I don't think that position will get addressed. Very, very unlikely. The centre back position is a bit up in the air. It will depend if there's any outgoings. So what we'll do before we conclude, just to kind of see what we have in the squad right now, because a lot of players are being sold. So right now, for my sake, for my own sake, and for your sake as well, we need to know what squad players we have in the squad, and are we able to challenge next year. So let's do a quick one here. So we'll start with the goalkeeper. So Alisson, obviously, first choice. And in left back position, obviously it'll be debatable in terms of who you feel like is first choice or second choice. I'll go off by who I believe is the first choice. So Robertson still is the first choice left back in the team. So, and then you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold. Right back, for me, Konate is still ahead of Kwanzaa. So I'd go with Konate and then Van Dijk. So a solid back four as always there. In terms of double pivot, Gravenberch. And then you've got Callister. Right wing, Mohamed Salah. Szoboszlai in the number 10 role. That might be a bit up for debate. I think some fans would like it to be Elliott. Who knows, even could be our new signing Chiesa. He can definitely play that number 10 role. So we'll I'm sure find out in the coming weeks. And then up top, we've got Jota. So that is our first team on paper. And for me, it's a strong team. And I do understand the people's frustrations in terms of, if someone was to get injured, like if Gravenberch got injured, for example, for me, that's a big concern. I think Endo is a fantastic sort of backup player, but because of honest lots sort of public comments about the player, and he struggled in preseason as well in terms of the new tactics, you'd have to have question marks around Endo. But as it stands, he's still a Liverpool player, so he'll remain in that position. So let's do our second team, quote unquote, on paper. So it'll be Kelleher. Next season, it'll probably be Mamardashvili, but for now, it's Kelleher. And then you've got Connor Bradley. Right back, you've got Simakan at left back. And then you'll have Kwanzaa on the left side, and then you'll have Joe Gomez. Or it could be the other way around, but for now, we'll just do it. Joe Gomez on the right side. And then the double pivot would be Jones. Actually, no, I'd probably put Endo on that side. Endo, because I just feel like Curtis Jones favors the right side, the left side, sorry, a bit more. Number 10, Harvey Elliott. Chiesa. Oh, is he not there? Sorry, wrong spelling. There he is. Chiesa. He won't be number 7. If I had to predict a shirt number, I think he might take number 14. I think he wears that for his national team. So that shirt number is available. So expect to see him with that shirt number. That's my opinion. Gakpo, and then Darwin Nunez up top. So now just look at the second team. Does this give you any confidence? For me, I still feel like it's a good team as a backup. I think the concern would obviously speaking, would probably be that double pivot where I think in terms of the top of their game, Endo and Jones could do a decent job there. But how consistent can they be? What if they need to play successive games? Are they going to be impactful? That's a debate, and I think that's a question mark as well. Harvey Elliott for me will flourish in that number 10 role, so hopefully he's given some game time during the season. Chiesa on the right wing, for me, it will certainly work. It can even be an option where maybe Arne Slot favours Chiesa as a number 10. You can't rule it out, and have Harvey Elliott on the right wing, which we've seen him play over the years. He used to play there for Fulham. He played there at Blackburn Rovers, England, and he's played there on occasions for Liverpool as well. So this could easily be the lineup, or just to even put it out there as well, it could even be where he plays on the left and Gakpo plays as a number 10. I wouldn't play Gakpo on the right. I don't think it works, but Gakpo can certainly play as a second striker. So the good thing about this sort of advanced midfield or the attacking players there is that they can interchange and it's sort of be a bit more fluid team. So I feel like that is good quality. That's a good balance front line there. Darwin Nunez, yep, in terms of his form, it just depends which Darwin Nunez turns out because he's still getting in offside position. So for me, he needs to really tune that up and improve on that. I feel like his finishing, yeah, that's another thing. So keep staying on side and his finishing, which is the bread and butter of being a top striker. Not a top striker, to be a striker, to be fair. He hasn't mastered that technique right now. So for me, it needs to be addressed. Now, the concern after this is when we have injuries. In terms of the sort of the front, the advanced three there with Elliott, Gakpo, and Chiesa, we wouldn't have anyone back. I would have maybe like Kate Gordon, or I'm not sure if he's out on loan or not, but we might have some youth players on the side. But we've got enough, I would say, attacking players to cover certain players. If someone's been injured, we have players that could come in. So I think in terms of the attacking half, no concerns. I feel like we have the strength and depth to occupy those positions throughout the season. If worse comes to worse, Curtis Jones can play in those attacking roles. Szoboszlai can play in those attacking roles as well. So we have the numbers to kind of accommodate any injuries or suspensions or out of form players if necessary. The back four for me has enough strength and depth as well. If Simakan's not available, I think we've got the likes of Chambers and Beck. They're out on loan, but they do have. I think Chambers has a clause where he can be recalled. So if we need an emergency sort of left back, that can be done. Or Joe Gomez. Let's not forget, if he stays at the club, Joe Gomez can play across the back four. So Simakan is not available, Joe Gomez can play there. So I still feel like the defense, if we had one more player as in a centre back, it just strengthens it even more to the same level as probably our attacking half. But I still feel like it's very strong. You know, some people might not respect Joe Gomez as a centre back now. They might just see him as a utility player, someone that can play left back and right back. As a centre back, he's still a good option, especially at fourth choice as well. I think he's a good option. If he's playing alongside Kwanzaa, he has enough experience and leadership skills to help the young player there, and he can easily play against alongside Kanate. And we already know he can play form a formidable partnership with Van Dijk, which we've seen over the years. So the sort of the defense, I'm not too concerned if I'm being. I do feel like we have good quality there. If Joe Gomez does stay, you know, we would all like a left-sided centre back, but this might be something that gets addressed next year. So, you know, I'm not trying to make excuses for FSG, but I feel like it was always for them. It was always going to be one has to depart for another player to come in. So that's why you've seen the likes of Vandenberg sold because he was a fringe player. We got 30 million, which is unbelievable business. Even from an attacking point of view, we sold Carvalho for 20 million plus 8 million in add-ons. So that's money in the bank as well. So we bought in Chiesa for 10 million. We bought in for 10 million and then we've sold Carvalho for 20. So 10 million pound profit there for FSG. Now the double pivot, That's the concern for me. That's the big concern. So if one of these players, let's say a player from the starting lineup was injured in terms of McAllister and Gravenberch, one of these guys would come in, but who would provide the cover, the strength in depth? Beyond this, there are no players right now. As it stands, it is Tyler Morton and Stefan Bastic. However, as we spoke about earlier in the show, they're both being linked with moves away from the club on a loan deal, yes, but they might not have the recall clause where they can come back if required. So that's why for me, I would probably ask one of the players to remain at the club. And for me, I've selected Tyler Morton as I feel like with the loan spells he's had at Blackburn and Hull City, I think he's ready to make that step up in the Premier League. He's not been tested there, so I feel like this would be the great transition for him, where he won't be highly sort of top of our list in terms of midfield options, coming in certain games here and there, playing our cup competitions. So I feel like he would provide good cover for his midfielders. So if you have one or two injuries in that midfield, the cover for these two players beyond that is pretty much non-existent. I know we've got that young player in Nioni, but he's like 16, 17 years old. It's too much pressure to put on the young man there. So I would have liked a defensive midfielder. Of course, I would have liked it, but I think the club are trying to sign an elite sort of player for that role. But I also feel like even though we missed out on Zubimendi, this might not be a good way of saying it, but I feel like we probably should have signed another stopgap kind of defensive midfielder because Endo is not favoured by the coach. So I feel like Endo will depart at some point in the next 6 to 12 months. So why not get a defensive midfielder now that basically improves the squad? But in 12 months' time, Endo will be sold, and then you'll have this defensive midfielder comes in, becoming a backup player, and then we can recruit the top player, next, like a Zubimendi type player next summer. So I would like for us to sign someone, even if it's a bit of a stopgap signing, and that's not a term that everyone likes to hear. But I feel like we need numbers, we need quality in that department. And if we were to add someone that's of good pedigree, then I feel like we'll have a good season. That's my only concern with the squad, the defensive midfield position. I think defensively, we're fine. Goalkeeping department, didn't even touch on it. Kelleher, probably one of the best number twos around in the league. We've got Yaros as well, the Czechia goalkeeper. He's a good option in third place. We've got, I think, Peter Luga, but I think he might be going out on loan. That was reported last week. So goalkeeping department, we're fine. Defensively, I think we're good. In terms of the defensive midfield position, the double pivot, I don't think we have the strength in depth, if I'm being honest. If Bastic and Tyler Morton stay, I actually don't have, well, I would prefer a better quality defensive midfielder in the squad, but I don't think that's too bad. I think that's good sort of numbers to cover those positions, and we can rotate a little bit more as well, so they could get game times against lesser teams or in the cup games. So I feel like keeping them on board would make more sense rather than sending them out on loan. But obviously, the club might view them as not getting enough sort of first team minutes. So maybe it's best for them to continue the development elsewhere. So let's see. 48 hours, we'll see if we're able to add to that squad. And our attack, I feel like we've got the right balance, the right profile in those positions. So look, at this stage, I'm excited with the season. Playing slot ball. It's a different brand of football, but I feel like it's an appealing type of football. It's going to be different for some of us fans to get accustomed to. I'm already on board. I like the new sort of control and measured approach in playing games. It's not 100 miles per hour all the time, but we're playing a more technical and a more efficient game altogether. So I'm enjoying it so far, and I'm sure some fans are as well. And yeah, we've got a big season ahead. So look, 48 hours remaining of the transfer window. Fingers crossed we can add some more additions. But yeah, it remains to be seen. But I was just about to conclude, but I've just got a comment here from Richard. Big up, Richard. As always, he says, hi, Aussie in chat. Assalamu alaikum. Walaikum assalam to you as well, Richard. How you all doing? Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for your support as always, Richard. He says, we need DM and centre back still. Many thanks. We never walk along. I totally agree, Richard. We certainly do. We do need to address those two positions. But I feel like with the limited time now, it's going to be very difficult for the club to bring someone of quality in. If they do, I'll be over the moon. But as I've just been reviewing the squad, I feel like defensively we're fine to go, throughout the season. The defensive midfield role, as in the double pivot, that's the one where we're all praying that no one picks up any injuries. Because once you pick one or two injuries there, the quality drop is and that's no disrespectful to Endo and Jones. I feel like they can do a great job for the team, but it will just be a thing where if they have to play a long run of games, are they able to maintain the quality? I'm not so sure. So I feel like if we had one quality defensive midfielder, it would really solve our problem there. But I just mentioned shortly, I feel like maybe a stopgap midfielder would just be a short-term solution, and then we can sign that big player next year. I know we did that last year with Endo because we missed out on the Caicedo deal. But look, if you're missing out on your prime targets, you got to find a solution. And at the minute, you're not finding a solution for us because we had a target with Mendy. He turned the move down. And then you've just gone all bust. Like nothing's going to happen. So there has to be a plan A, plan B, plan C. There has to be a contingency plan for us to appoint new players because it's an area that needs to be addressed. We've currently we have 6 first-team defensive midfielders. 2 of them look like they're set to go out on loan, which is a concern for me. I would preferably keep one and then let one go, but we'll see. If both of them stayed, then I think then we're okay. Then I wouldn't feel too down because I feel like we've got the numbers to cover those positions. But right now, yeah, that's the only question mark I have in terms of our challenging for us to challenge the titles this season. So let's see. Which you said we will score but concede as well. We'll certainly score goals with Chiesa in the team, that's for sure. But look, so far we've kept 2 clean sheets and we look very calm in the back. And I don't feel like we're going to concede a lot more goals. I generally don't. I'm not just going because of the first 2 games. It's just the manner of how we're playing, how we're defending as a team is a lot different than it was under Klopp. So whether it's better or not, that's up for debate. That's up to some preference as well because everyone has their view of playing football and what they enjoy to see on the screen. Don't get me wrong, I love the way Jurgen Klopp played his football in terms of that heavy metal football. It was a joy to watch. But I'm also looking forward to seeing this calm and composed way of playing football as well. So it's different, but I'm all for it, to be honest. So remains to be seen. I think defensively will be a lot better this season. I think we'll concede less goals and we won't be as open as we have been. We're not playing as high up as we have under Klopp. So yeah, I think we'll score lots of goals with Chiesa in the squad, but I don't think we'll concede as much as some people might assume. Which said Man United versus LFC Sunday 4 p.m. Yes, prediction, lineup, and match preview. So yes, I'll be doing a match preview tomorrow. Time will be 10 p.m. UK time. So I'll upload the stream on YouTube very shortly, and then yes, you can hit that notification bell and make sure to tune in tomorrow. So yeah, definitely cover that big game already so early in the season. And you said Champions League draw tomorrow as well. Yes, so if I'm available, I might even do like a watch along for that. So yeah, just hit that notification bell for the channel, and then if there is anything that comes up spontaneously, like I watch along for the UCL draw, and then I'll be doing it tomorrow. So yeah, look out for that. And then question marks on Curtis Jones, Joe Gomez, and Darwin Nunez. So the Darwin, you said Darwin Jones, Darwin Nunez. Yes. I think there are question marks with Darwin Nunez. I just don't see him fitting this way of playing football. He just hasn't clicked from the cameos that he made. Yes, I know it's cameos. He's just come off the bench. But I just don't see it. I just don't see him working or being aligned with that calm and high possession football, because he's not a very technical player in terms of linking up. He's more of a player that plays on the shoulder, causes chaos, and tries to score on the counter. We are going to play counter-pressing football, yes, but I feel like it'll be more build-up play than not. So, yeah, I just don't think he suits the way we play, to be honest. And I feel like it's interesting that Arsenal linked him, because he might suit their way of playing, because they need someone to stretch defenses, and they don't have anyone in their squad that can do that. But I wouldn't sell him to a rival like Arsenal, unless they want to pay like 80, 90 million on top. Then yeah, we could talk business. But for me, they've got to pay a premium price, and none of this cheeky 45 million plus £1 deals. No, I'm not buying that. So no, I don't think he'll move to Arsenal. But in terms of his long-term future, yeah, I think this will be. I don't mean to be rude when I say that. I think this will possibly be his final season at Liverpool, and it'll probably be a position we address next year. So let's see. And obviously, he's still a Liverpool player, so he gets my full support. But if I was to, make a suggestion, or in terms of what I think will happen next year, that would be on my list. I think the striker role will be addressed next year, and possibly left back as well, and then the defensive midfielder and centre back if we don't address them. So yeah, let's see how it is. Just got a few more comments there from Philip Bidwell. Says, big up Ozzy, big up yourself, Philip. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for a comment there. Michael says, yo, big up Michael, hope you are well. He says, you man are done out here. I want to say we're done out here. I know you're probably looking at the team that's in front of you right now. Let me switch it up so you can see the first team. So I think in terms of our first team, I think there's plenty of quality there. The big question for us will be in terms of keeping everyone fit. And if we are able to have less injuries, then we'll have a successful season. However, my concern is the defensive midfielders. If we pick up injuries in that department, then yeah, it's a concern. I think defensively and our attackers, I think we have the numbers and we have the strength and depth, just not in the middle of the park, unfortunately. So we'll see. I'm confident in this team. I'm not saying we're going to win the title or anything. I think we will be challenging, or will be thereabouts. But yeah, I'll be doing a sort of thorough analysis of each Premier League squad this weekend, and the show will take place next week. So I'll then also present my final predictions of the Premier League season. I predicted City to win, Arsenal second, Liverpool third, and Tottenham fourth. Will that change? Will I bump Liverpool up? Who knows? Remains to be seen. But it will be discovered next week as I present that show. Just got a comment here from Richard, who says, which DM and sentiment would you like? In terms of the DM, I would like Alan Varela from Porto. I think he ticks all of the boxes, where he's a defensive midfielder in the kind of form of Mascherano, but he's a good playmaker. He's got good passing ability, good distribution in terms of his short and long range passing. I feel like he would fit the bill. An Argentine midfielder, so playing alongside his compatriot McAllister, I'm sure they will form a good partnership. So that would be the ideal signing for me, because people are saying that, oh, Zubimendi is the best option out there. I feel like there's a lot of options out there. For me, it would be Varela, but you can also look at the likes of Edison from Atalanta. I think he would be a good option as well. He's tenacious and energetic, and I feel like he would bring something different to our midfield. And I think he was available for around 30-odd million. So really surprised that we haven't gone in for him, to be honest. But maybe the club have a different way of thinking, and they want a more technical player that's regarded as a deep line playmaker, rather than an Edison type of player who is more of a box-to-box midfielder, but can still do the defensive duties as well. So for me, Varela in that defensive midfield role. Centre back, yeah, people say there aren't a lot of options in the market, and I totally disagree. I feel like there's so many names out there, The dream signing, let me just say out loud, the dream signing for me, apparently there's a bit of an inkling that there could be some interest from the club, is Bastoni from Inter Milan. Now we've signed one Italian. Let's make it a double and get another Italian on through the door. Bastoni for me would be the dream signing. Whether it's realistic or not, I don't think it is, but some people are saying there is interest from the club, so you never know in the future. I think Hincapie would be a very interesting one. I think he really fits the bill in terms of what we want. He's a left-footed centre-back by trade, very aggressive on and off the ball. So in terms of his passing and his sort of play, he's very good in that sense. But he's very aggressive in the tackle, very good in the air as well. But the good thing about him, he's very adaptable and playing different roles. So last season under Xabi Alonso, he played as a left back, played even further up, playing as a left wing back / left midfielder, because they played a midfield four. So that shows to me he's versatile, he's multifunctional, and can play in different roles when required. So I would say right now he'd be a fantastic signing. Bastoni would probably be more of a long-term successor to Van Dijk. Left-footed player as well, but I think he would probably cover left back to a good standard, but not elite standard. So I think Bastoni would be a great signing. But yeah, I don't know if it's realistic. So yeah, Varela and Bastoni, if I'm living in dreamland. Or if it's a bit more realistic, then Edison and Hincapie as well. So names that, shouldn't really be out of the question for Liverpool. But the way we operate sometimes, it might not be realistic options. But who knows? We were surprised with the Chiesa move because there was no inkling before that we would even sign an attacker. So that came out of the blue. So let's hope the senior figures like Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes are all guns blazing and they're firing shots and revealing more players walking through the door. That would be an amazing end to the window. A frustrating one for most of us Liverpool fans, where I'm sure I've gone on a couple of rants, and I'm sure you guys have fed your comments in the live chat, presenting your frustration at the lack of business as well. The Chiesa move for me is a good bit of business. I know some fans aren't too happy because it's not an area that was a priority to address. It's probably third on the list if I'm being honest, but it's an area that has been addressed. Now, I don't want to be a bit of a downer, but some fans have even suggested that maybe Chiesa is Salah's replacement for next season, because obviously Salah's on his last year of his contract. I don't think that's the case. We can't rule out. But let me not put that energy out there in the universe, because, yeah, it's happy days right now. We're on the verge of signing a quality player in Federico Chiesa. The deal should be confirmed tomorrow. So he did his medical today. I think there's 2 parts. He'll be doing his second part tomorrow, and we'll hopefully get some confirmation late evening tomorrow, or possibly early morning on Friday on transfer deadline day. So hopefully there's more. I don't want to say rumors. I'm sick and tired of seeing rumors. I want to see completed deals or Liverpool in talks with certain players, and hopefully we can get a couple more players through the door, and then happy days. But we'll wait until in due time. I just got a comment here from Michael. He says, my previous comment, not about your first 11, but concerning transfers, you lot are so damn cheap. Yeah, we are. That's the way we operate, unfortunately. I think with us, it's like we do a lot of our research in terms of acquiring players, and I think the club would be willing to pay premium prices for certain players. But if they've identified a premium player, it's one player only. And if we can't get that player, it's done. We'll revisit this issue next year. That's how it has been over the years. So Tchouameni was supposed to come through the door. He chose Real Madrid. Okay, scrap the idea. We're not signing a DM now. Bellingham was someone that we were supposed to sign as a box-to-box midfielder. Oh yeah, he's gone from Real Madrid again. Scrap him. We'll think of alternatives next year. And that's when our midfield collapsed, and we had to address by signing 4 midfielders last year. So yeah, we have a certain way of doing business. Like, I don't mind it in terms, like the Chiesa deal. yes, it's a cheap deal in terms of money, but I'm looking at the profile of the player. I feel like that is the perfect profile that we needed because he's not going to be a starter, and I'm sure he'll expect that as well. But he will be heavily rotated, and he can play across the front three and as a number 10 as well. So he's definitely going to have an important role in the team. If Liverpool sign a DM and a centre back, then I feel like we've covered all the gaps in our squad. So that's why a lot of fans are frustrated. But for me, it's not about spending big money on players. It's about signing the right players for the squad. So if we sign a 10 million DM and a 15 million centre back, but they had the profile and they fit the bill into what we needed, I'm all for it. I'm not expecting big names, like Euro went to United and Calafiori, who I actually really wanted as well. He's gone to Arsenal. Um, and that should have been a realistic target, but we didn't pursue for whatever reason. I'm not expecting big sum. I'm not expecting £50 million players or £100 million players. And I don't think a lot of Liverpool fans are either. So, look, it could be regarded as cheap to some, but if he hits the ground running and helps the team, it could be regarded as a masterstroke. So, only time will tell, but we'll see how it goes. But that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to Jay Kismet, Brosh, Uncle Rods, and Richard, and also Philip and Michael. Appreciate your comments as always, guys. If you haven't already, please don't forget to hit the like, comment, and also share and subscribe to the channel. In terms of upcoming content, I will be doing a match preview show tomorrow at 10 p.m. UK time. Liverpool are facing Manchester United at Old Trafford, so big game for us all. So yeah, looking forward to that one. And then on the weekend, I'll be doing a live watch along for that Manchester United versus Liverpool game, and we'll also be doing a match reaction show later in Sunday evening. So yes, more shows on the weekend. So yeah, that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to speak with you all very, very soon. Goodbye.